or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-285-2521. 800-285-2521. 800-285-2521.
Watch on the ESPN app.
You're listening to 1050 ESPN, your home for New York Islanders hockey. WEPN, New York, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Now on SportsCenter all night. Will TB12 bid farewell again?
Brady really is up in the air about what he will do next. And I will say that there are plenty of options on the table.
Why one QB's future may be in a different jersey.
We got to win MVP again. Right situation. Right situation? Is that Green Bay or is that somewhere else? I'm not sure.
Why the hype is for real this time in Big D.
If they play that way, a complete football game, they can beat any and everybody in the National Football League.
And more from an action-packed night on the hardwood.
Holiday on the other side. He's got Siakam on him now. He steps back, fires away from 30.
This is SportsCenter all night.
And I served as a source of inspiration.
We're not listening to that today.
I mean, they should thank me. They should thank me.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
The trip to number 3 may still be in the offing, but number 23 is not. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. Wednesday in Australia, it's rainy, and the clouds were over the top of Rafa Nadal as well. He was clearly hurting in his second-round match at the Australian Open to American Mackenzie McDonald, and McDonald wins it in straight sets, 4-4 and 7-5. And that defeat abruptly ends Nadal's title defense and a bid for a record-extending 23rd Grand Slam title. McDonald's reaction after beating Nadal?
I want to break down his forehand if I could. He lifts that ball. I like to go through the court. If I can execute that, I think I'd win more points. So it was working well.
Working very well up until a set in 5-3. Then we saw that Rafa hurt himself.
Yeah.
How did that affect things and certainly the way you had to play?
Yeah, it makes me think a little bit. I try to focus on myself. He got me a little bit out of rhythm, iced me a bit, but I like how I regrouped a little bit. I hate that for him. He's a great champion, and it's tough to see him kind of end the tournament like that.
Nadal was the top seed. He was visited by a trainer on the sideline, then left the court for a medical timeout. His wife up in the stands, clearly emotional during the process as well. But Rafa Nadal, the top seed at the Australian Open, is out. All the matches for the Aussie Open on ESPN+. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. A lot of the NBA's attention stateside is turning these days to the impending historic milestone that we should be seeing within the next month or so. LeBron James closing in on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring mark. Meanwhile, we continue to see an MVP caliber season developing in Denver.
Jokic has it at the point. Hands out behind him over to Gordon. Now you attack. Gordon inside the arc. He attacks the paint. Hands it off to Joker. Layup good.
Altitude Radio Network. Nuggets a 122-113 win over the Blazers. Jokic, 36 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists for his NBA-leading 13th triple-double of the season. 17th career triple-double, tying 30-point triple-double, tying Larry Bird and Magic Johnson for the 7th most all-time. And Jokic has played 8 games this month. He's had a triple-double in 5 of them. Nuggets continue to win. 14 straight home wins, longest streak by any team this season, and their longest in the last 10 seasons. Dame Lillard, 44 points in the Blazers' loss. Jokic making a run at a possible 3rd straight MVP. Bucks, meanwhile, taking the court without former MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, his knee keeping him out of Tuesday's game against Toronto. His teammates would pick up the slack.
Holiday on the other side. He's got Siakam on him now. He steps back, fires away from 3, and he did it again. Drew Holiday in the clutch. Delivers again. Stop on a dime. Let it fly. And do your thing.
WTMJ as the Bucks beat the Raptors 130-122. 37 for Drew Holiday, along with 7 assists. He's the first Bucks guard with consecutive 35-point games since 2006 when Michael Redd did. Drew Holiday has consecutive 35-point games for the first time in his career. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. From the NBA to college, top 25 matchup in Manhattan. Number 13, Kansas State hosting second-ranked Kansas. This one tight in the closing moments.
Desi gets it into Marquise Noel. Shot clock now at 20. Here comes K-State. There's the lob for Key, and he stuffs the ball. He got the stuff.
That puts K-State up by a point. Jayhawks ball.
Here we go. Here's the inbounds. Harris, 10 seconds to go. 9 seconds. He's got it at center circle. 6 seconds to go. He'll drive to the left towards the baseline. Loses the ball. He's on the floor. 1 second to go. It's over. It's over. It's over. Kansas State has won the game. 83-82.
Wyatt Thompson, Learfield, 1-point win for K-State at home. 6th win over a top 2 Kansas squad. First since 2011. Keontae Johnson had 24 on the win and spoke with our Chris Button.
You guys had a lead. This thing was so physical down the stretch. How'd you get it done tonight?
We just fought together. We just stayed together. We've been in situations like this, and we want to play in games like this so that we're the toughest team.
You spent 2 years out of basketball. You're now surrounded by all these fans on the court. What's this moment been like?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, it's just a blessing of God. He gave me the opportunity to give me the second chance for life, and I ain't going to take advantage of it every time I get out here on the court.
What has Jerome Tang brought to K-State basketball?
He's a God. Like, you see, you go out here, you can't even appreciate got all these people out here, and it's a blessing to be here. Like, you want to play with. Hey, that's you. Hey, man, shut up and Nancy, man.
For Johnson, 24 points in 3 of the last 5 games. Kansas, meanwhile, has its 10-game win streak come to an end. Second-ranked Kansas falling on the road. Top-ranked Houston at Tulane.
Now Mark the outlet to Sasser, or to Shed rather. Shed to Sasser. Catch and shoot. Left wing 3. Got it. Marcus Sasser back-to-back threes to start the second half. Shed dribbles it back outside to the logo. 11 to shoot. Shed off the screen. Shed over to the left corner mark. Left corner further to Sasser for 3. Got it. Marcus Sasser, the left corner 3. The Cougars up 19, and Sasser has been on fire in the second half.
Jeremy Branham from Learfield. Houston goes on to win by 20, 80-60. Marcus Sasser, 23 points. Houston goes to 18-1. Coach Kelvin Sampson with our Aaron Summers.
Coach, you held this Tulane team about 30 points under their average. How are you able to get them out of their offensive rhythm so early?
Well, we had, I think, having some time off. We're able to get some guys healthy. And then you have extra time to prepare. You know, we have 5 days where we watched a lot of film, saw some things that I thought could help us, and our kids competed. You know, they made a run at us second half. They always do. On the road and at home with a great crowd, they always do. But I like the way we answered. And, but we're a good defensive team, and we just got to keep plugging and get better.
How were you the tougher team tonight?
I just think the main thing is getting everybody healthy. You know, Jarris Walker didn't play against USF. Jamal's been battling some stuff. Rachel's been battling some stuff. But what is our record? 17-1 or 18-1? Whatever it is, when you win that many games, your team knows how to win. You know, so they don't get rattled. We're going to lose some games. We're going to lose some more, obviously. But we know how to win, and there's a lot to be said about that.
18-1 now, Coach.
18-1. Okay, thank you.
Houston goes to 18-1. They've won all 6 in conference play. SportsCenter all night. ESPN Radio, top-ranked Houston winning on the road. So does 4th-ranked Alabama.
Off the screen, Miller going downhill, getting to the rim, laying it up and in for 2, and may need a timeout as Bama leads it by 17. Miller getting it front court for the tie. Stopping on the left wing. Brandon left low 3. That was a mistake.
Chris Stewart from Learfield. Alabama goes on to beat Vanderbilt 78-66. Their second 6-0 start in conference play in the last 3 seasons, 7th time in program history. It's a basketball win, but it comes just days after now former player Darius Miles was charged with capital murder in connection with a fatal shooting near the Alabama campus. On the SEC Network, our Dari Noka, who spoke with Coach Nate Oates.
Sunday was really rough, and I think they realized the severity of the entire situation, but I think after Sunday night, they came back and got refocused. We had a good day of practice Monday. thought we had a good walkthrough here today. I thought they came out ready to play. It was, our starters gave us a good lead the first 4 minutes, as our bench caused us problems when we came in. So there might have been a few, I think, different guys process things differently. Some of them probably handled it a little bit better, and some looked like they were still maybe in a fog tonight. But hopefully by Saturday, we've got everybody back in a better frame of mind.
Yeah, I was, as a coach, I know you think, especially as long as you've coached, you've seen everything and lived everything, and yet things come up that you never expect. How have you been able to process this over the last few days?
I mean, it's shocking, to be honest with you, but I'm a believer, so a lot of prayer, a lot of scripture reading, just to figure out what to tell the team. I've shared with them a few passages. We think you can learn from it. Hopefully our guys in the future make better choices. Hopefully you don't have to learn from your own mistakes. Hopefully you can learn from other people's mistakes. But, the basketball side of it became really, really unimportant for a while there, but the basketball side of it also gives us somewhere a team can pull together and, it gives us something else to think about, because the severity of the situation is big. I mean, a young girl's life was lost, and we're really praying for Jamia's family and her young son and everybody involved with this situation on her side of the family.
On Tuesday, investigators writing in a court document that Darius Miles admitted to providing the handgun immediately before the shooting. Another man is accused by police of firing the gun that killed the 23-year-old. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Tonight, let's be honest. I mean, he looked like a 45-year-old quarterback.
Tom Brady has to go to a team where a number one wide receiver is there, a tight end is there, a running back's there, a coach that he may know well or may not know well is there. One day at a time.
We are down to 8 teams left in the postseason. Veteran quarterbacks Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, not among those still in contention. Rodgers didn't make it. Brady and the Bucs losing to the Cowboys Monday night. We heard what he had to say about his future.
This has been a lot of focus on, this game. So, yeah, it's just be one day at a time, truly.
And now one day at a time, but there are a lot of options for him. ESPN's Jeff Darlington.
The sentiment that he echoed last night during his press conference, which was essentially, I need time, I need rest before I make any kind of a decision. I can tell you that has been, that is a truthful sentiment. That is the sentiment that is one that I've heard for weeks now, that Brady really is up in the air about what he will do next. And I will say that there are plenty of options on the table. There are other teams that will be interested in him via free agency. The Bucs are interested in bringing him back, and he is certainly willing to consider retirement again. I know this sounds cliche, but these are all things that Tom Brady is going to think about in the coming weeks. The one thing I'd really be cautious about is everybody kind of seems like they want to assume that he'll leave the Bucs. Don't assume that. The Bucs are just as much in this thing as anybody. Tom Brady has the utmost respect for the Bucs ownership. He's become very close with general manager Jason Light. There are some really strong relationships between Tom Brady and the Bucs, and I just think that's very important to point out that is absolutely one of the options still on the table for Tom Brady.
And as for the options for Aaron Rodgers, he addressed his future Tuesday on the Pat McAfee Show.
We had all the conversations I think we wanted to have about football for now. They're not pressing for any type of specific, answer, and I'm not, mentally or emotionally at that point to give one. Again, if I'm asked about it, I'll respond in honesty. But this is not going to be something where I'm going to, respond to a bunch of inquiries about, what are you thinking this week, or what are you thinking next week, or where you at? It's just it's get away from it mentally and emotionally, and then physically as your body starts to come back after a few weeks of TLC. Then I think you're in a better frame of mind to contemplate your future.
And Aaron Rodgers now goes into the offseason with question marks surrounding his future. Again, earlier on ESPN Radio, our Joe Fortenbaugh.
I love this guy. I used to not like this guy. I love this guy. He is so good at staying relevant. He should join the WWE. He knows exactly how to give you a storyline. He knows how to stick to it. He knows how to throw a wrinkle into it. 1 minute you think it's retirement. He's not really sure. Someone wanted to do a jersey swap with him. He was not interested. He thought he wanted to keep that one. Now, all of a sudden, we're not talking about retirement. A week later, the narrative shifts. He needs the right situation, a new story. We can talk about it on air. And then next week, he'll be on with McAfee, and he's probably going to go on another ayahuasca trip and figure himself out and throw up all over himself in the middle of the Mexican desert. And that'll be a good time. Every week, he gives us a story. Every week, he is content gold. I love this guy. I don't even know if he knows what he wants, but it's wonderful listening to him. He is one of the game's great characters.
Joe Fortenbaugh, along with Amber Wilson. Joe and Amber, weekdays, 7 o'clock Eastern here on ESPN Radio. Why this week will be different in the NFC. That's next. Sports Center All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Oh, a wolf.
Ooh! What about the tiny dog? Cat. Owl. Dolphin. What does the turkey say? Whale.
Whale sound.
Do the giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Okay. Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Why things will be different this time around. That's in 60 seconds. Sports Center All Night, ESPN Radio.
Prescott protected. End zone caught. Touchdown. Good protection. The pass wide open. Touchdown Lamb. 4 touchdown passes by Dak Prescott. Ties the Cowboy playoff record.
Dallas Cowboys with their win at Tampa on Monday advance. They'll be on the road this weekend facing the Niners. ESPN analyst Ryan Clark says it's just a matter of which Cowboys team shows up.
The Dallas Cowboys had the widest range of possible finishes of all of the playoffs. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys can't be good enough when they play at their top level to win a Super Bowl. And I think a lot of us saw that last night in the way that Dak Prescott executed what Dan Quinn was able to do with his 4 safety package defensively in the sub packages. We saw that they have everything it takes to win at a high level in big games. Brock Purdy didn't seem like a dude that the moment was too big for. So the Michael Parsons, the D Laws, the Van Der Esch's on call linebacker blitzes. You have to get pressure on this dude to make him crack. And then it's about tackling. This is the best, to me, as a total team, the best yards after catch team or the best run after catch team that they have in the entire NFL. And if you don't get these dudes on the ground, that's going to kill you. And so it's going to be about tackling, be about controlling what you can control inside the numbers. And then offensively, use your weapons. Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalton Schultz, and Dak Prescott can't turn the football over.
Cowboys-Niners, the later of the 2 games on Sunday. Saturday, the NFC matchup is the Giants-Eagles in primetime. Philly winning their Week 18 matchup to wrap up the regular season. ESPN's Giants reporter Jordan Raanan says this could be different.
It was just over a month ago, right? As Jalen Hurts just said, in December, the Eagles put up 48 points, over 400 yards, rushed for over 200 yards against this Giants defense. But I was speaking to safety Xavier McKinney, and he said the Giants are confident going in this game. Why? Because this Eagles team is going to face a different defense. Remember, if you think back to that first meeting, McKinney didn't play. He was sidelined from a hand injury from an ATV accident during the bye week. Top cornerback, Adoree Jackson, he was also out. So now those 2 guys back in the secondary, that's half the Giants secondary back. That now, as McKinney was telling me, allows the Giants to do different things. They could do things that the Eagles probably didn't see in their first matchup. The Giants were just trying to get by. And you look at Adoree Jackson, he comes back, guards Justin Jefferson last week on 85% of the snaps, 7 for 47 for Jefferson. So now you add him trying to help with A.J. Brown, makes a world of a difference. It also helps in regards to it takes Fabian Moreau, who's their number 2 cornerback, puts him back in his more natural spot, lets Jackson slide in as the number 1 cornerback, and then McKinney is a guy the Giants can play deep and near the line of scrimmage. Though I'm sure the Eagles will see a lot of different looks last time because when the Giants blitz, Jalen Hurts did significant damage, completed more than 50% of his passes. The Giants, they don't think that's going to be the case this time around.
And speaking of Jalen Hurts, ESPN Eagles reporter Tim McManus.
Everybody around here has that right throwing shoulder on the mind, including people close to Hurts. And he's been telling him that he feels fine, though they wouldn't expect anything else knowing the way that he's wired. Bottom line is he played through pain in that regular season finale. Coach Nick Sirianni saying that they're fortunate that they had a bye week and that Hurts should be healthier because of it. But to expect him to be fully healthy at this point is probably a stretch. Talking to Dr. Brian Sennett, he's the head of sports medicine at Penn Medicine. He said that it's not really realistic to think that he will be symptom-free over the next several weeks, adding that every time that he gets tackled or sacked or falls on that shoulder, you run the risk of aggravating that SC joint. So it comes down to management and being smart when you run the football. Hurts in the first game against the Giants, very efficient in the ground game, 7 carries, 77 yards, and it was the threat of him running that opened it up for the rest of the offense, including Miles Sanders, who had 144 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. So Hurts is going to have to strike that balance between protecting himself and keeping the Giants off it.
Eagles-Giants, the primetime game on Sunday. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Coming off a 6-0 loss to the Boston Bruins Monday, the Flyers bounce back with a 5-2 win over the Ducks Tuesday. The focus, though, on the pregame warm-ups. Defenseman Ivan Provorov did not participate in pregame warm-ups when the Flyers wore Pride-themed jerseys and warm-up sticks wrapped in rainbow Pride tape.
I respect everybody, and I respect everybody's choices. My choice is to stay true to myself and my religion. That's all I'm going to say.
He's being true to himself and to his religion. This has to do with his belief in his religion. And it's one thing I respect about Provy. He's always true to himself. And so that's where we're at with that.
Was there any consideration on your part when he chose not to wear the jersey to not play him as a result?
No.
Coach John Tortorella, really no change to ice time for him. He played just about 23 minutes on the ice. Flyers get the win over the Ducks. They've won 4 of 5. Which great may we have seen the last of? That's next. Sports Center All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Greeny.
Kyler Murray will have input into who their new coach is. What, is Kyler going to play Call of Duty with this guy and decide this is who should be the coach?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, which head coach do I have the most confidence in this weekend? My answer will surprise you. Keyshawn J. Will Max, Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Sedano and Cap for your afternoon drive on 710 ESPN.
Well, I've gotten rid of bra in my house.
Okay, good.
Because
good,
I've worn it out because I called my kids bra like 5 million
you
times.
wore it out.
Right.
Not because you banned it.
No. So once they called me bra, okay, then I called them bra. I called all their friends bra. And I said bra so many times that nobody in my house thinks it's cool to say bra.
The fun way to drive home is with Sedano and Cap. Tomorrow at 4 p.m.
on 710 ESPN.
Are you ready? Bonus days are back for pros at Lowe's. You earn points and save when you buy the top pro brands you trust, like DeWalt. Right now, you can save $100 on the powerful DeWalt 8 1/4-inch carbide tipped portable table saw. Was $3.99, now just $2.99. Join today and shop bonus days, only at Lowe's. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 1/20. Subject to change while supplies last. Visit Lowes.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Baseball, basketball, pickleball. Those are sports, and people love sports. If you love sports, you should know this. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. Does saving have anything to do with sports? No, but people love sports, so I'm yelling sports out. Hockey, swimming, golf. Not all sports have the word ball in there, so save big when you switch to Progressive. Go sports teams!
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Every moment of the Lakers happens here.
Alley-oop! AD slams it, and the place is going nuts!
You gotta do it big when you represent the purple and gold.
Shovel pass. LeBron with a tomahawk dunk.
I do it too big, too big, too big. I do it too big.
No matter what, we just got to build and keep stacking winning habits.
Stolen by LeBron. There's LeBron on a breakaway. Another windmill.
I do it too big.
The biggest show coming out of Hollywood is LeBron, AD, and the Lake Show.
AD, three-pointer, good. Anthony Davis is doing it all.
I do it too big, too big, too big.
Just staying locked in. Our team is locked in right now. We're very focused on both sides of the ball.
Three-pointer by Reeves. It's good! Austin Reeves with a dagger.
This is where the big shots fall for the purple and gold. 710 ESPN.
Your home of Lakers basketball this season.
And the place is going nuts.
What is going on, Laker fans? Alan Sliwa here. Want to introduce something brand new on our YouTube channel, ESPN LA. You got to get on there. You got to subscribe. Lakers Talk Daily. Monday through Friday, we're putting out Lakers content. We're reacting to games. So we're coming up with topics that we think Laker fans are interested in, and we're doing it Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, and it's all on ESPN LA. So get out on YouTube. Get on our ESPN LA page. Subscribe to the channel. And, of course, we read off your comments, and we get topics specifically from you.
I spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In 95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in 09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
You are never too old for a family. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is dedicated to finding forever families for children who have been waiting in foster care the longest. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics. Start a conversation at soundidouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning.
LA Sports Talk all day long. 710
ESPN.
Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. For a job you'll love, visit progressive.com/careers.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center All Night.
Aaron Rodgers says he doesn't know what his future holds at this point. He'll take some time. Second-ranked Kansas falls at K-State in a matchup of ranked teams. Nikola Jokic, another triple-double. His fifth in the last 8 games. Joel Embiid continues his 30-point run for Philly.
And now here are the Sixers with Harden. Harden to Joel. 14-footer to the right of the lane. There they go. 2-man game. They've been clutching the fourth here on this road trip. And the field goal is good. Embiid now with 39. That makes it an 8-point game. 5 minutes gone by in the fourth.
97-5, the Fanatics. Sixers, a 121-10 win in L.A. over the Clippers. Embiid, 41 points and 9 rebounds. His 8th 40-point game this season, tying Giannis Antetokounmpo for the second most in the NBA. Luka Doncic has the most with 9. Embiid and Giannis both with 8. Embiid, 6 consecutive 30-point games. And after the win, spoke with TNT.
I know you're well aware of this. After your win on Sunday and then tonight, you are now 8-0 all-time in this building in games you've played against the Lakers and Clippers. What is it about this arena?
I don't know. I mean, you can say the same thing about the Bulls or the Knicks. I got a good record against them too, but I don't know. We're just coming out here, to try to take our business, especially in LA. Has a history of, for opposing team. The players don't usually play well, so we just wanted to make sure to come out and do it as a team. And, it was a team effort.
Nice for the Bulls and Knicks to catch strays here after this big performance by you here. All right, so you start the road trip with 3 straight wins. You've won 5 out of 6. Do you get the sense that you and the rest of this team are starting to figure something out here about yourselves?
Yeah, but we still got a long way to go. Guys I've been missing, guys I've been in and out all season, so I think we're starting to get everybody healthy, and that's why we've been able to just be ourselves and play at this level. But I think we're okay right now, but we still got a long way to go. And if we reach that level, I think we have a chance.
Ian and Jimmy at the table talked so much tonight about that pick and roll game between you and James. We saw it in different areas of the court tonight. What is it that has been unleashed between the two of you?
I mean, I don't want to get too much credit. All goes to him. He's been amazing since he's been in Philly. Just making everybody better, including myself included. So when you got 2 guys that have a high basketball IQ, I think anything can work. And he's made my life easier. I'm sure I've made his easier too. So, but like I said, we got a long way to go. We know how much we can get better, and we're gonna get better.
Embiid, 6 straight 30-point games, tied for the second longest streak of his career. Sixers top the Clippers by 10. Spurs and Nets in a big game for Keldon Johnson.
Here comes Trey Jones, up-tempo 3-on-2. Ahead to Johnson, slam, dunk. Keldon Johnson from Trey Jones. Timeout, Jock Vaughn. Jones outside left to Keldon Johnson. He'll try an angle left 3. KJ Trey. That may very well do it.
And that absolutely would do it as the Spurs take care of the Nets 106-98. Calls on WOAI. Johnson, a career-high 36 points, 11 rebounds, 4 steals. The youngest Spurs player with a 35-point, 10-rebound game since Tim Duncan in 1999. Spurs, 3rd time holding an opponent under 100 this season. Nets get 98. They lose by 8. They shot 3 for 23 from 3-point range, 13%. Worst 3-point field goal percentage in a game since 2019. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Back to football. Tom Brady and the Bucs losing to the Cowboys Monday night. End of the season for Tampa Bay. As for Brady's career,
this has been a lot of focus on, this game. So, yeah, let's just be one day at a time, truly.
A lot of ways this could go for Brady. Stay put, play elsewhere, retire. As for his best option, ESPN analyst Marcus Spears.
To go home, to retire, okay? And listen, this is not about if Tom Brady could still throw for 4,500 yards or some touchdown. We saw arm strength from Tom Brady. We saw him push the ball down the field. the man does not, he plays football with fear now. And that's the thing that's starting to kind of register to me. When you see this last game, right? That pressure, it looked like he was afraid to take contact. And when you get to that point in football, that's like you playing quarterback, D lineman, running back, it doesn't matter. When that physicality starts to get in your brain and it affects how you go about doing your job and maneuver in the pocket, it changes how you look at things.
Nobody wants to get hit, especially when you get older. As for the future of Aaron Rodgers, he was on the Pat McAfee show Tuesday.
The guy can win MVP again. The right situation. Right situation, is that Green Bay or is that somewhere else? I'm not sure. But I don't think you should shut down any, opportunity. Like I said, during the season, it's got to be, both sides, like actually wanting, to work together moving forward. And I think there's, more conversations to be had.
Aaron Rodgers not making a decision at this point. You heard him mention MVP, talking MVP more so than Lombardi. Yet here we are, a couple of aging quarterbacks with decisions to make this offseason to the guys at PTI.
Who was more likely to have played their last game, Brady or Rodgers? Brady. I mean, I know they both looked around when they left the field, home field in each case, on the final game after a loss. Aaron Rodgers did it in Lambeau after losing and having a chance to go to the playoffs, lost to Detroit. And, of course, Tom Brady did it last night. But, Tony, Tom Brady, there's a difference between 38 or 39, whatever Aaron Rodgers is, and 45. There's a difference. And Tom Brady didn't win one. Aaron Rodgers has won one. If he's still chasing something, you can understand that there's nothing for Tom Brady to chase. And I know the great ones don't want to retire no matter how many they've won. Whether it's Michael Jordan coming back and playing with the Wizards at 40, coming back and doing it, he'd already won. But when you've already won this many and you are, by proclamation, the greatest of all time, at least at your position and likely for your whole profession, I just think it's time that he's going to say, I do think Brady is going to say, that's it, that's a wrap. Yeah, I mean, I don't think either is going to retire. I think both will leave the teams they're on now. I agree with you that Rodgers is less likely to retire because you don't want to retire after. When you're going to the Hall of Fame, you don't want to retire coming out of a season where you failed to make the playoffs when your last game was at home against the divisional rival. He's not going to retire. I don't think Brady is going to retire either because Brady is a very special character. I don't think the age matters to him. I don't think being 46 matters. He won a Super Bowl at 43. Let me review for a second. Steve Young did that tape piece about retirement in which you saw Peyton Manning cry. Yes. And you saw John Elway cry. And you saw Troy Aikman cry as they got to the mic to retire. They were crying. Okay. And Steve Young said retirement is death.
But what I
just don't think Tom Brady is going to do it.
They all left.
I don't think he's going to do it.
Retired.
Not on your timetable.
Huh? They retired.
Not on your timetable. Yes. And Brady will not do it on your timetable. He'll do it on his own. And
we're going to have a gentleman's bet. A year ago, when Brady announced his retirement, I told you I didn't believe that for a second that he wasn't going to retire, and he did.
That's right.
Let's bet again. This time I'm taking the other side of this issue. I believe Brady's going to retire. He looks at it and he says at some point, what else?
So we have a couple of QBs who could be moving on, could be Sports Center All Night, ESPN Radio, and we could have teams moving on from their quarterbacks, possibly. Vikings, one of the two teams losing at home in Wild Card Weekend when they lost to the Giants. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings coming up short. He let it be known after the game last weekend.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. I'm probably missing one, but this is probably the toughest loss I've had in my career. So it hurts.
Why is that?
I mean, all the obvious reasons.
Kirk Cousins and the Vikings went 13-4 in the regular season, but bounced with the home loss. And the reaction from ESPN's Rex Ryan?
Well, he looked like Kirk Cousins like he always does, right? Puts up great numbers, and then when it comes to the biggest moments, he comes up empty. That's what the story about Kirk Cousins has always been. Everybody always questions that.
It was the defense that really was a weak link for Minnesota in the elimination loss. But that said, on Canty and Carlin, the question about whether the offense has the proper personnel.
Kirk Cousins does nothing to win you games.
Kirk Cousins does nothing to win you games. Nuno, formerly of the hashtag crew, sent a text to us yesterday, and he put it brilliantly. Kirk Cousins is the Ponzi scheme of quarterbacks. That's what he is. They did not lose the game because of him, but you pour a ton of money into him, and then when it comes to get the return on it, you wonder where it is, and there's nothing there.
But you got to get to this point, though, Carlin, and Kirk Cousins was a big part of the Vikings getting here. If you don't have Kirk Cousins, where are you? If you don't have him, what kind of team are you? What's your alternative? I'm not going to throw away Kirk Cousins because he's a solid NFL quarterback. He's an above-average starter.
That's where my biggest problem is with this. They can go out and win all the regular season games they want. That's not why he's there. That's not why they brought him there in the first place. And as it turns out, he has been, while his numbers look good from afar, when you look up close, it really is not somebody that you trust to really carry you in a situation where you need it. I would say that the Vikings have been too comfortable. Like, I can't settle and overpay for mediocrity. And that's what they're doing. And my best excuse can't be, well, who else are you going to get? I need to go make that happen.
Kirk Cousins puts them in a situation where they're consistently in the playoff picture. They have a chance to play in these games, and I think there's something to be said for a quarterback that gives you that opportunity.
Canty and Carlin, weekdays, 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Radio. Right now, Sports Center all night. So there are decisions to be made for Minnesota. There are decisions to be made in Chicago as well. Bears have the top pick in the draft and a new team president who, as ESPN's Michelle Steele notes, is quite familiar with his quarterback.
The Bears have the first pick in the 2023 draft and the best running quarterback in the league in Justin Fields, who will start to see a familiar face in the building this year. The Bears' new president and CEO, Kevin Warren, introduced at Hallis Hall Tuesday.
We're going to build an incredible franchise. I came here to win championships.
Fields was the Ohio State quarterback who in 2020 became the face of an effort to try to convince Big Ten Commissioner Warren to reverse his decision to cancel the football season during COVID. Fields' petitions were successful, with his team ultimately receiving the Big Ten title trophy from Warren after the season was restarted.
What that told me about Justin is he's passionate. Now, my whole goal was trying to keep players safe. I appreciated him to be able to take that leadership role.
Warren moves to the Bears after 40 months at the helm of the Big Ten, where he expanded the conference and negotiated a record TV deal. He said he kept tabs on Fields as he went to the NFL.
I called him on draft day. I was ecstatic when he got drafted by the Bears because that's what you need from a leadership standpoint. But I have a strong personal relationship, with him. He's talented. He's a leader. I love this passion. I know he's going to do everything he possibly can with the talent that he has to be a leader, and he wants to win championships.
Warren, who becomes the first Black president of the team and first outside hire in that role, knows that the Bears' job is to win championships, and he'll be a sounding board for GM Ryan Poles, who he will now oversee. But he says his sole focus is to get a championship caliber stadium to the Chicago area. Soldier Field is currently the smallest NFL stadium.
And then there are teams who are in search of new head coach. Sean Payton at the top of a lot of people's list. ESPN reporter Jeff Darlington.
We're going to have to hear how his interviews go, Kev. He wants to make the rounds before he makes any kind of a decision. You mentioned, though, that he was meeting with the Broncos today. Interestingly enough, I don't know, I find this interesting. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is actually in that interview with Sean Payton. She is among the new Broncos ownership who will be making this hire. So she also in the interview with Sean Payton. We'll see how that one goes. And then he will move to meet with Dave Tepper on Friday. That will be with the Carolina Panthers. And then he wants to take a step back and figure out exactly where he wants to be. We should point out that Sean Payton has made clear to those around him that he is still comfortable not taking a coaching job, going back to his role as a Fox analyst if he doesn't feel like the fit there is right. So in some ways, he's interviewing these organizations just as they're interviewing him. Really interesting dynamic in play, but certainly one that we will keep an eye on.
Panthers, Broncos, Texans, Cardinals, all among the teams that are currently in the mix. So who is number one? That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, would a loss to my New York Giants deem the Eagles' season a failure? You might be shocked by my answer. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
More Sports Center all night. Next.
Don't miss Travis and Sliwa.
Weekday mornings after Keyshawn, J. Will, and Mac.
You know me. You know the answer why. The same reason I don't like the Chargers, the Angels, the Clippers, all this stuff. You know why I don't like that. They never deliver. I like teams that matter. I like teams that are in it frequently, that are kind of like blue bloods. The same reason I didn't want TCU to win the national championship is the same reason I can't root for the Chargers. Sure, give me a little something.
Trav and Slee, live from LA Live, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
After Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Transitioning out of the military, it's difficult. Just about everything around you changes. I would get phone calls that brothers were dying, some of them to suicide. And I found myself in another cold cemetery. And I started to wonder if I was next. It's a struggle to know that you're facing challenges, but not be ready to face them. Sleep doesn't come easy. And when it comes, it doesn't last long. You're tired all the time. I didn't reach out for that help, but thank God my wife did. She got me registered for Wounded Warrior Project. Talking to somebody that would listen to me and understood my story helped me realize that it was time to change. There's a new fight, there's a new mission, and that's something I am eternally grateful for.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning.
On LA's mega sports station.
LA Sports Talk all day long.
710 ESPN.
Sports Center all night continues with Jay Reynolds.
We're taking you to Key, Jay, and Max, 6 o'clock Eastern here on ESPN Radio. Sports Center all night, presented by Progressive Insurance. Last year, he was the champion at the Aussie Open. This year, he was seeking a 23rd Grand Slam title to try and extend his record, but that won't be happening. Let's get the latest from Melbourne, ESPN's Matt Walsh. Matt?
Thanks, Jay. Defending champion and number one seed Rafael Nadal is out of the 2023 Australian Open, going down to American Mackenzie McDonald in straight sets on Rod Laver Arena. Nadal looked to aggravate an injury in his upper leg late in the second set and was seemingly in a bit of pain before calling for the trainer. Nadal then went off court to receive treatment and upon returning tried to put up a fight in the match but was unable to find a comfortable rhythm. The match ended with McDonald winning 6-4, 6-4, 7-5. Earlier on day three, Americans front Frances Tiafoe and Jessica Pegula secured straight sets of victories, while number 6 seed Maria Sakkari and world number 1 Iga Swiatek also won. For the rest of the day's play, tournament organisers are in a bit of a scramble. We've lost about 6 hours worth of play on every single outside court, and while players like Swiatek, Pegula and Tiafoe are safely into the third round, some players like American Sloane Stephens haven't even started their first round match after heat and rain disruptions yesterday. Walsh at the Australian Open for ESPN.
The stunner of the day Wednesday is that second-round exit by Nadal, sustained an apparent hip injury late in the second set. Wasn't the same after that, as Matt mentioned. Bows out in straight sets. ESPN analyst Mary Jo Fernandez.
It's tough. I mean, his whole career, he's had injuries, and he's always found a way to come back and fight through them and figure things out. But, you know, last year at the French, he won it for the 14th time. I can't believe we keep saying that, but he had to have shots in his foot to numb it, to be able to get through it. And then we saw what happened at Wimbledon with his abdominal. He wasn't able to play the semis against Kyrgios. So I think as you get older, it gets tougher. And with his good pal, Roger Federer, retiring, you'd have to think those thoughts are creeping in. Like, how much longer can I do this? But I would hopefully believe that he's going to try one more time at the French Open.
Nadal's lost today, the earliest exit by a top seed at the Aussie Open since 2002. With Leighton Hewitt lost in the first round. Every match of the Australian Open available on ESPN+. While we're in that part of the world, U.S. women's national team with a 4-0 win over New Zealand today. The teams meet again on Saturday as the Americans use the trip to prepare for the World Cup this summer. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. As for the top sounds from Tuesday, say hello to Mark Robbins.
Number 4.
Hello there, Jay. We're going to begin our top sound in San Antonio. The Spurs' Keldon Johnson putting on a show against the Nets. WOAI in San Antonio.
Here comes Trey Jones up tempo 3-on-2. Ahead to Johnson. Slam dunk. Keldon Johnson from Trey Jones. Timeout, Chuck Brown.
Number 3.
On the College Court, the Tennessee Volunteers get a second-half rally going against Mississippi State. Here's Bob Kessling from Learfield.
They get to James. James gets it across into a double team. Fires the tomahawk back to Phillips. Phillips.
Alley-oop slam. What a pass by Phillips.
Number 2.
Back to the NBA for a midweek holiday. Drew Holiday on WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Holiday on the other side. He's got Siakam on him now. He steps back, fires away from 3, and he did it again. Drew Holiday in the clutch. Delivers again. Stop on a dime. Let it fly. And do your thing.
Number 1.
Finally, with all the sunflowers at stake, state bragging rights on the line, 13th ranked Kansas State looking to upset number 2 Kansas. Here's Wyatt Thompson on Learfield.
Desi gets it into Marquise Noel. Shot clock now at 20. Here comes K-State. There's the lob for Key, and he stuffs the ball. He got the stuff.
Number 2 Kansas losing at K-State. The other top 5 teams in action. Top-ranked Houston winning at Tulane. Number 4 Alabama, 12-point win at Vanderbilt. So who's the best in the nation at this point? ESPN analyst LaFonso Ellis.
It's absolutely Alabama, the Crimson Tide. And okay, I know everybody at home's going, what about Houston? Well, they've already beaten Houston, and this team is loaded. They have a little bit of everything. But I want my focus and attention to go to their best player, the best freshman in the country, and Brandon Miller. 6'9", can do everything out on the floor. I love his ability to be able to play in pick-and-roll situations because you go under, he knocks down the 3, where he shoots 45% from the three-point line. You drop coverage, he gets to the lane. He's terrific in transition. He rebounds the basketball, and he's an efficient passer. I absolutely love the depth of this Alabama team, Seth Greenberg.
I love their depth, but I love what they do defensively. They're top 10 defense efficiency. We think of Alabama, we think of transition game, we think of Brandon Miller, we think of three-point shots. But you know what you have to do? You got to get stops. This team is an elite defensive team. What do? You contest shots. They run people off the three-point line. A lot of people shoot 28% because they can pressure the ball and have great length. And then if you try to get to the front of the rim, people shoot 41% at the rim because of their size and length and athleticism. And when they get those stops, you know what happens, Fonz? What's up? People get out in transition. When they get out of transition, the move of Mark Sears to the 2-guard, the guy's averaging about 18 points a game over the last 4 games, shooting over 40% from the three-point line. Their ability to get stop and build their defense all of a sudden allows them to get out in transition and play that offense.
Alabama, 6-0 in the SEC. Coaching news, Sean Payton, of course, among the highly sought-after coaching options for teams looking for a leader. Ben Johnson will not be in that pool. The Lions offensive coordinator informing the team Tuesday night that he will return to Detroit next season, had been a candidate for multiple vacancies. Lions offense ranked 5th in the league. From college, Michigan says co-offensive coordinator Matt Weiss is on leave pending the police investigation. University of Florida may have lost one of the players who had committed to the schools. Quarterback Jaden Rashada has requested a release from his national letter of intent after a $13 million NIL deal fell through. That'll do it for SportsCenter All Night. I'm Jay Reynolds. It's Wednesday, January 18th, birthday of Mark Messier. The Hall of Famer is 62 today. Plenty of pro quarterbacks facing decisions on their futures as well. KJ and Max are next. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up next, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN.
Wake up with Key, J-Will, and Max. Nobody does LA mornings like KJM.
MTV Cribs, they kept asking me for years, Jay, and then I finally was like, whatever. If you notice, I wouldn't show my cars though. I didn't want people to see my whip.
Too much, yeah, it can't.
You know what I'm saying? Look at the bed, look at the covers, man. Look at that, Jay. That's a young,
what's that, young
player, man. That's a young player life.
LA mornings with LA Zone, Keyshawn. Tomorrow morning till 10 a.m.
on 710 ESPN.
Everyone can boost their digital confidence with NordVPN. All it takes is one simple click. NordVPN will block online trackers, hide your virtual location, and secure your devices from malware-infected downloads. It will also block access to malicious websites. So catch the special deal now at NordVPN.com. Enjoy more private and secure internet daily. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today, I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Put a frog in a